so excited right now because this is my first time going live here in the Flussel Tribe. Woody woot! But I saw that my girl Kelly went live about like 30 minutes ago, and I love her so much, and I love everything that she's saying, like, love it. And so once I saw her go live, I wasn't sure if I was gonna go live, but once I saw her go live, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go for it. I am gonna go for it. And so here I am. You guys have probably seen me commenting all over your stuff because I love to chat with y'all. This is one of my favorite groups. And so I'm constantly talking to you guys, but now here you can catch me actually on a video. Hi, Amity. Hello, this is my first time being live here, so I'm so excited. So what's funny is that I can see that you joined, but I can't see that, I don't know, whatever. If you guys have comments, go ahead and leave them below, because today we are talking about how to deal with crying in inappropriate times. Or not inappropriate times, but times where you just don't want to do it. Particularly as it relates to anxiety, because I know that this has been quite an issue for me in the past, and I have learned how to manage it. So I wanted to share these tips with you because I think that it's really helpful. So if you don't know who I am and you have no idea what this space is, you're like, what's going on? I am Lexi, and I am a life coach. I run a business called The Anxious Goddess. Yes. And what I do is I help women learn how to manage their high-functioning anxiety using crystals, using meditations, and using cognitive behavioral therapy techniques. So it's a lot of stuff that I do, but essentially I just work with women who have anxiety. And the reason why I work with women who have anxiety is because I had anxiety for 20 freaking years before I was even diagnosed. Hi, Shakisha! It's my first live in the group. Oh, and you guys are getting the smart me because I'm wearing my glasses. I didn't feel like poking my eyes today with my contacts. So this is the counselor version of me. Do you like it? That's what I look like back in my counseling days. And I'd be like, okay, so tell me how that makes you feel. And then when I became a life coach, I was like, nah, I need contacts. I don't know. But yeah, the reason why I love talking about anxiety is because I was suffering with anxiety for 20 years. I mean, literally, since I was a child, my mother would always mention how I would have these fits, and they weren't like regular temper tantrums, and she didn't know what to do with them. So for years, I was just constantly struggling, and I wasn't able to go to counseling or get any kind of support until I went to college and went on my own. And that's where I was diagnosed with general anxiety disorder. And at that point, it was like freedom, because I was able to finally have something to go by, something that I could say, okay, I can Google that, I can look up books, and I'm a researcher by nature, so I can get quite nerdy. And the minute that I'm like, oh, I want to know about it, I'm going to spend weeks and so much time researching how do I figure this out. And that's what ended up happening with me with anxiety. I ended up getting my degrees and all that stuff in the counseling field, which helped heal a lot of my own anxiety. But I also got coaches and counselors to help me. And now this is what I do. I help women who are dealing with anxiety, who maybe don't even know that they have anxiety, particularly high functioning anxiety, because so many times it gets masked as so many different things. So I love to help women kind of identify that and then give them the tools that they need to live life well and not be so shocked or afraid or just constantly in this state of worry and fear. And today we're going to focus particularly on when you have those crying fits, what to do in that moment when things are kind of just turning upside down and you can't stop crying, but you don't want to cry because maybe you're in a meeting at work, or maybe, I don't know, you're in front of your mother and you know your mom's going to use that against you. Whatever it is, I know it, I've been there. We're going to talk about it today. So Shakisha, she says, both of my babies have anxiety. Oh, both of them. But you know what's so funny though? It's a special thing, because the more that I've learned about spirituality, the more that I realize having anxiety is actually quite a blessing. It means a lot of good things for us when it comes to our spiritual development. But since I'm not going to talk too much about that today, I won't get into that, but it is pretty awesome. Kelly, I was talking about you earlier. You inspired me to come on live because I was like, I don't think I'm going to do it today. And then I saw your live and I was like, oh, Kelly done inspired me. I'm going to do this. So I watched your video, got off, and immediately went live. But yeah, Shakisha, crystal and meditations help. Let me tell you, that's what really healed and transformed me. And that's what transformed my whole business. I've been speaking for years, and I've been presenting a lot of my thesis papers, a lot of my things that I did in school. I've been presenting on them for years when it comes to dealing with anxiety in children, anxiety in minorities, all of that. Like, I've been doing this for years. But it wasn't until I really got into crystals and really got into meditation that I personally found a lot of healing. And I found that when I was working with children, when I was teaching them, I couldn't teach them things like crystals, but when I was teaching them things like meditation, whoa, it would change a kid that people said had behavioral issues, had ODD, had ADHD or ADD, and all these other issues along with their anxiety. They would do meditation with me, and we would instantly start to see changes in their behavior. So I know how important meditation is. I do it every day, sometimes multiple times a day, because I just love it so much. So yes, meditation, but crystals even more so, putting those together, oh, it's like an amazing thing. So I love it. So let's get into today talking about, I have my notes because I am a researcher by nature, so let's be real here, okay? So first things first, I remember when I was working as a counselor, I was on a counseling team, and we were hitting a point where there were a lot of people leaving the job. And so as a result, we were supposed to have like a maximum number of clients that we could have. Everyone was only going to have like 5 clients per person. However, because people were leaving the team, we had to pick up the slack. And I remember one time I was sitting in a meeting, and all of these people are much older than me. I wasn't even supposed to be on this team because I was so young, but I'm a freaking prodigy. No, I'm kidding. No, but I was literally the next person closest to me in age was 40, and I was like 25. So quite young, but I knew my shit, so that's how I got the job. And they mentioned to us that they were going to make some changes, and so as a result of people leaving, we were going to have possibly up to 10 clients each. Now the thing is that with the program that I was working in, 10 clients was, in my mind, was impossible, because I'm meeting with these clients 3 times a week, sometimes for 2.5 hours, to deal with their anxiety issues, to deal with their family problems. And each client isn't just one. I was a family counselor, so I'm dealing with 4 people at a time, 6 people at a time, trying to deal with all these separate issues as a family unit and as individuals. And so when I first heard the fact that now I was gonna have, hi Tammy! When I first heard that I was gonna have that many clients, my first reaction was, holy shit, I can't have that many clients. I'm not gonna be able to do what I need to do. I am going to fail. These people are gonna figure out that I'm not a great counselor. My clients are gonna get the service that they needed. How am I gonna be a great counselor if all these people are just piling on work to me? This is completely unfair. I'm never gonna have any free time for myself. I went into like a spiral, okay? And if you have anxiety, you know what it is. And so I started panicking. And sure enough, because I stayed in that moment of pure panic, I ended up tearing up. And here I'm in the meeting, and not only is this meeting with a bunch of other counselors, my peers and things like that, including my supervisor, but also with the CEO of the nonprofit that I was working with. She was the one that was delivering the news, and she was a really tough cookie. Really impressive, but really tough cookie, and had no room for emotions like crying. So here I'm trying to keep it together. Okay, yes, please catch the replay. Thanks, Amity, thanks. But here I'm trying to keep it together and not cry, and I end up crying. And so I have to get up and walk out, and now I'm embarrassed because now all of these people just saw me cry, including the CEO, who clearly she's not down for the emotions. Like, that's not what she's about. So I was so embarrassed. I go into the bathroom, and then of course now not only am I crying because of the news of getting so much being put on me and that it triggered my anxiety, but now I'm crying because I'm embarrassed because I had to walk out, and everyone could probably figure out why I had to walk out. So I was just so over it. Now, here's the first issue. I'm sure you could probably see what happened there. The first thing that went wrong is I immediately went into a negative spiral. I went straight into attacking myself, attacking my work, attacking my skills, assuming that this was impossible, assuming that this wasn't the best for the company or the best for me, assuming that this was going to be too much pressure. I immediately went into all the negative spins that I could find, and then I just hung on for dear life as I spiraled into this negative thinking. Well, no wonder I'm going to end up crying, because I just triggered myself. I'm not crying because of the situation. It's easy to blame that and say, oh, well, you're crying because this person did something. No, you're actually crying because of your thoughts. You're crying because of what you think about what was just presented to you. So, for example, if somebody comes to you at work and they put more pressure onto you, and immediately you start thinking, oh, but then who's going to pick up the kids? And who's going to do this? And how am I going to get this? And why do they always do this to me? Stop. And you can even say that. You can even say it aloud if you want, or you can say it in your head and just go, stop. I'm not going to think about this right now. I'm just going to listen. That's it. I'm just going to hear the person out. I am not going to think about how it's not going to work or how it is going to work. I am just going to listen. Now, by doing that, what you're doing is you're allowing your brain to kind of just observe what's happening. This is why meditation is such an important thing to do, because it teaches you the art of being able to, okay, Shakisha, bye. Definitely catch the replay. But it teaches you the art of being able to observe your thoughts without reacting to them. So that's why it's so important to practice meditation, because when you're in a moment where you're just existing, you're not reacting to anything, you get used to practicing this, so that way when you're in those moments when something triggers you or has the potential to trigger you, because you've been practicing meditating, you've been practicing just observing your thoughts without reacting to them, in that moment you can do the same thing. So the minute that, again, you start spiraling, you say to yourself, this is exactly what I do. Okay, Lexi, stop. I'm not going to think about this right now. I am just going to listen. End of story. And the minute that I start to hear something, and then she says again, she says something else that just bothers me or whatever, immediately I tell myself again, stop, Lexi. I'm not going to think about this right now. I'm just going to listen. Hi, Alicia. Yay. So that's one of the first things that you do, is stop and think about what you are thinking about, because you are not crying because of what the person said. You're crying because you're allowing it to trigger you into a negative spiral of thinking. Second, let's say that the person then asks you, okay, so what are your thoughts? They say, and that's what happened to me in this scenario, that when I did come back, and it was clear that I had been crying in the bathroom, they had asked me, okay, so what do you think about the fact that you may have up to 10 clients at a time? And at first, I wanted to go into a litany of why this was not possible, that this was just not fair to the team. We wouldn't be able to give the services that we've been hired to do. Like, I wanted to immediately go into that. But instead, I was quite proud of myself, because my first reaction was, honestly, I'm going to need to take some time to think about this, and then I'll get back to you. It was beautiful. I was 25 years old, and I don't know how the hell I came up with that, but I did, and I was so proud of myself. Yay, Alicia, I'm so glad you caught me live too. Woo-hoo. So I was so proud of myself, because the CEO at that time, who might have lost a little bit of respect for me by walking off and crying, definitely gained it back by my really professional response. Now, the reason why I said that was because, one, I needed time to think. I was in a triggered space at that moment. So her asking me my opinion on how this was going to work in terms of my workload, I'm only going to come from that negative triggered space. I'm not going to talk about the possibilities. I'm not even going to present realistic problems. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm only going to be talking from the perspective of, well, this isn't going to work, so let me tell you why. Instead of going, okay, here are the really rational ways that we may face some issues, I have some possible solutions. There are some solutions I don't have, and we can certainly problem solve them. But these are some of the things that I'm concerned about. I wasn't going to come from that place because I was triggered. So it is okay if you're in a moment where somebody says, hey, can you work overtime? Or when your mom says something and it's so frustrating and you want to just curse her out. It's okay to say in that moment, you know what? I'm going to have to take some time to think about this, and then I'll get back to you. You can even set the time frame. You can say, give me an hour and I'll get back to you then, or whatever the case is. Now, let's say if they say, I need a response right now. Like, I need to know your perspective right now. It is certainly okay for you to say, okay, well, if you need a response right now, I'm not going to be able to give you what you're looking for because I need time to think about it. Whether that's somebody asking you to do something or go somewhere or give something or whatever, the answer then at that point is no, because you're not giving me time to think about it, and I want to be able to think about it and give you my best response. So those are the first two things that I suggest. One, tell yourself, stop. I am not going to think about the how right now. I am just going to listen. Two, if the person is asking for more feedback, you can easily say, you know what? I'm going to need some time to think about this and I'm going to get back to you. Don't take too long though. Don't be like, I'm going to get back to you and it's 2 months later. You know, respect the time frame. Okay, so another thing that you can do is to refocus on the positive. A lot of times when something unexpected happens and we feel like this isn't going to work, we do the negative spiral. That is something that a lot of anxious women do. We go straight into how this is not going to work, instead of thinking, what are some of the benefits of this? So for my example, of course I was thinking, this is not going to work. I can't take 10 families at the same time. It's just not possible. The limit is supposed to be 5. You're asking me to double my limit, and I can't do that. And remember, this is family counseling. So this isn't 10 individuals. These are 10 families. And I was like telling the CEO, I was like, this is not possible. That's what I'm thinking in my head. And that's what I'm like, my energy is kind of giving out. But there were some positives to this situation. One, she had mentioned, because we were now going to have 10 clients, instead of us having to meet with each of our clients for 2.5 hours, 3 times a week, which is what I was like, I can't meet 10 families 2.5, like I'm not gonna ever have time to take notes or to do my paperwork or to even sleep and eat and live my own life. But she said, okay, well, based off of the fact that we're gonna have to increase our numbers, we're going to lessen the amount of time that we have to be with each of our families. Another benefit was that because of that, they were also going to eradicate some of the just most unnecessary paperwork that I really hated to do because it was just truly unnecessary. And she was like, we're going to eradicate it all together. And we were going to have more support because some of the case managers who were licensed therapists were also going to be able to help us out. Now, because I was in the anxious spiral, and I was just going into this negative place, I didn't care about none of that shit because I was like, no, I don't want 10 families. I was so focused on how this was not going to work that I refused to hear how it could work, how it could, and how I was actually going to enjoy that aspect of my job because I was going to have less required of me in order to meet the needs of my families. And also another benefit for myself was that I really enjoy counseling, and so it was going to give me that opportunity to meet new families that I could grow and love, because I loved a lot of my families. I got really close to them, and because I spent so much time getting to know these kids, getting to know their parents. And so I wasn't thinking of that, right? Because I was triggered into this negative spiral. No. So instead, again, step 1, remember, just listen. Step 2 is it's okay to say, I need some time to think about this. Let me get back to you. And then step 3, it's okay to think, what are some of the ways that this is, like, what are some of, not how it's going to work, but what's the positive? What else are they presenting to me? And it's okay to ask that. If you're sitting with your boss or you're sitting with somebody and they say something and you say, okay, well, let's talk a little bit about what are the benefits of being able to do this. So that way they can help brainstorm with you to switch gears into this place of possibility rather than impossibility. Because again, you're trying to get yourself out of that triggered place. Now, my next tip is simple. If you're truly not able to get out of this place where you're triggered and you really need to just get a good cry out, Go to the bathroom, go to your car, and cry it out. It is okay. Now, society wants you to believe, okay, that if you are a crier, you are a weak person. But let me tell y'all something. I am a crier. I am a crier. I cry. That is my response to things. Now, when I was younger, because I didn't know that I had anxiety and it wasn't acceptable necessarily for me to have anxiety, I did not, whenever I felt that urge to cry, what I would do is I would switch to anger, because I knew that my family wasn't going to respect me if I started crying. My family's West Indian, and we don't do that. Like Caribbeans, we do not do that. You don't cry, you woman up, okay? That's what they think. And so I then was raised to think this way too. And so I stopped the crying and I became this like angry person. Because sometimes, right, when people see you cry, they take it to mean weakness. So they take it to mean like I can you're vulnerable and I could take advantage. But if I'm angry, they see this warrior, and it instantly creates a boundary that crying sometimes does not. So some of us who have anxiety, we switch. When we see that the tears are coming, we switch into anger to protect ourselves from having to let somebody see our vulnerability. But here's the lesson that I've learned. Once I've learned how to manage my anxiety, I no longer really have temper tantrums, and I don't really go into that angry space because I just don't see the benefit in it. And I understand that it creates a really low vibration that only attracts more reasons to be angry. So I don't go down that road. I do go down the crying road. And if I'm in a space where I know that somebody's going to take advantage of my vulnerability, then yes, I'm going to leave and I'm going to go to the bathroom and I'm going to go to the car. I'm going to do whatever I got to do so I can let my tears out, because that's necessary. Tears are simply energy. It's a release. So it's no different than if you went and took a smoke break. It's no different than if you went running. It's literally just about releasing that energy of frustration, disappointment, grief, or whatever the case is. Yes, Michelle, I love it. I love a good cry. Sometimes I'll go and put on a good movie because I'm like, I just need a good cry, right? Because it's just so healing. It's so empowering. So don't believe the hype. Don't let society tell you that crying is a weak thing. Because let me tell you something right now. Nobody in their right mind would look at me and say that I am not strong. Nobody in their right mind. Now, I may be only 5'2", but everybody who knows me knows that I am a freaking force. I do not play games, and I may be crying when I'm coming at you, but don't be fooled. Do not think that because I'm crying that the energy that I have, that force that's coming at you, isn't just as strong. So don't let people fool you into thinking that crying means weakness, because that is absolutely not true. You are just seeing another expression of my humanness. Get it together, okay? That's it. And once I realized that too, because again, I used to think that too. I used to be like, oh, well, crying makes me weak and I don't want, but now that I know, like, I know that I'm a powerhouse. I know that I'm strong. I am loud. I am very assertive. I can stand my boundaries, especially when triggered. So now that I know that, I'm like, wait a minute, how can that exist? That I can be this weak person, but then in this other moment, I'm really strong. Maybe I'm just really strong and I happen to cry, and society has created some ridiculous notion that a certain expression means weakness. Get out of here. I'm not taking that. So it's okay if you cry and then you're like, let's go to war. You know what I mean? So go, let out a good cry, release it. And a lot of times you feel more, like I said, you feel healed. You feel empowered because you've let out instead of holding that in and being like, I'm not having an attack. I'm not having an attack. Accept it. You are having an attack. And then that leads me to my last point. I think that's my last point. I think my last point is it's going to pass. See, one of the things about anxiety is it tries to trick you into thinking that you're dying and that this moment will never end. I know when I'm having an attack, one of the things that happens is time slows down. And so I feel like the attack is going on forever. And I also feel really like pulled away, you know, like everybody's over here and I'm just like scooting back and I'm crying. and nobody can kind of see like what's happening. I'm sure you all know that, like that far away feeling, right? When that anxiety, panic like hits you, right? So you feel like it's never gonna end. But here's the thing. If you're on this video, which I love it, Michelle, thank you. You know that, do I have lipstick on my teeth? I think I do. Yeah, here we go. Oh, just, just a couple of girls. But but you know that anxiety doesn't last always. Anxiety doesn't last always. The moment always passes. Does that make sense? Right? Okay, so when you're in that moment and your mind is trying to trick you into, oh my gosh, this is never going to end. I'm always going to have this anxiety. This is always going to happen, blah, 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 blah. Go ahead and turn on that other switch that's like, okay, I'm having a panic attack. I'm frustrated. I'm upset. I really don't like what I just heard. This moment is going to pass. Maybe I should go take a break, walk outside. Maybe I should create some distance because I know it's going to pass. I just got to let it happen. Whatever. Like the minute that you stop resisting the attack is the minute that your body, your mind, your spirit start to accept what's happening, and it creates a whole new plan. Oh, it's beautiful. Our bodies are beautiful. The minute that you decide to accept what is happening, your mind and your body and your spirit accept it, and they start to create a whole new plan. Your spirit starts to say, okay, we are freaking out. The body is freaking out. It's okay. Here's what I'm going to do. And it starts to allow solutions to pop up in your head, feelings to come up, so that way you can start to find healing. It's no different than, let's say, if you cut your finger. Your body starts to bleed, right? And it starts to send things to clot up that area because it's trying to heal the fact that the fact that that finger is damaged. It immediately goes into healing mode. It doesn't go into, oh my God, it's cut. What are we gonna do? And your blood just starts like flowing everywhere else except your finger. No, it rushes to the problem area and it immediately starts to clot it up because it goes straight into healing mode. That's what your body, what your spirit and your mind want to do the minute that you accept that you are having a crying attack. The minute that you accept that this is what's happening, your body starts to, oh, think about that, guys. How amazing is that? Your body then starts to put things into motion to start healing. And then, if you believe in angels, which I do, I most certainly do, because you're also saying this is happening, it also leaves room for your mind to hear angels speaking comfort and peace to you. Instead of, if you keep resisting, what ends up happening is you get so stuck in here that when the angel is coming to you and is like, hey Lex, calm down. It's okay. Everything's all right. You're not dying. Everything's going to be okay. This is actually what's best for you. It's going to work out. Instead of hearing that angel standing in front of you speaking to you, or feeling them in your heart, you're not feeling anything because you're stuck in here. You're in that negative spiral. So instead of doing that, don't do it. Don't do it. Instead, allow and accept you are having a crying attack. It is going to be okay. The angels are around me. They are healing me. My body knows what to do in this moment. I have survived much worse than this. I have survived other crying attacks, and I'm going to survive this one. This is just my body's response, and it's okay. And the minute that you do that, you open your mind to be able to hear the angels speak more peace and comfort and direction and even other ideas to you. They may tell you, okay, Lex, let's go. Let's get out of this room because this energy, we ain't here for it. They may tell you, okay, sit down, breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your mouth, think positive. It's going to be okay. This is best. And you can hear it because you're no longer resisting. So those are my tips for you all about how to deal with those crying fits, those panic attacks that come at you out of nowhere, especially when you're in moments where you can't, go and just start crying, you know what I'm saying? And so you actually have to do something about it. Use these tips, guys. These are super helpful. You can figure out a way to manage your anxiety. You don't have to let your anxiety manage you. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. And Michelle, I love these comments. Yes. Sorry, guys, I do sing a lot. If you guys watch New Girl, which is one of my favorite shows, she sings all the time, right? Jess. I am the black version of Jess. I sing all the time. That is just part of who I am. So Michelle says, I have been resisting. I was interested to see you live. Thank you so much. Oh, yay. I'm so happy. If we're friends, if we're not friends, go ahead and friend me, because I go live, and I'm actually going to go live again because now I'm in the heat of the moment. So I think I'm going to go live on my page as well, because I love talking about this, in particular because I went for years embarrassed about my crying fits, and now I'm not. Like, now I just know what it is, and people respect it now, like, because they know that that's what I do. So they're just kind of like, okay, she's having a crying fit, let her have her moment, you know, and they just kind of give me my space while I come at it, because I think also because of the fact that I'm not ashamed of it anymore. People aren't necessarily ashamed when they see it happening now, you know, because it's like, I don't feel embarrassed by it. I'm just like, yeah, I'm crying, and you know what I'm saying? So, hi, C-Love. I'm actually about to end, but definitely Nikki! You guys are coming out, of course, as I leave. But you guys have got to catch the replay. This was such a fantastic topic. I am so passionate about this. And honestly, too, this is something that if you have kids who have panic, like I know Shakisha was mentioning that her children have anxiety disorder, talk to them about how to manage the crying, because I know, like I said, I am not ashamed anymore that I am a crier. I am not ashamed that that's what happens to me. And because I'm not ashamed of it, when other people see me go into a crying fit, they're just kind of like, okay, she's going into a crying fit. Some people get uncomfortable, but that's more about them. They just, like my mother, she gets uncomfortable about it because she just, you know, like I told her, she's, you know, I told you guys, she's West Indian, she's Caribbean. We don't do crying. So my family can get uncomfortable with it because they see that as like a very American thing. And then I'm like, hello, y'all came to America, what you expect? But, you know, they get uncomfortable, but I don't take that in anymore. Now I'm just like, okay, you guys are not comfortable with the crying, but that's, you know, that's how I express myself. That's how I release my energy. And I can still be just as strong, I am just as strong, just as powerful, just as in your face. I can still handle business even while I'm using a fucking Kleenex. Oh, I'm sorry. Like, that's what it is. I have no problem doing what I gotta do while I'm crying through the tears, right? So my oldest is high anxiety. Oh yeah. And that's why I think, honestly, talk to your kids. Write these tips down and talk to your kids, because the thing is with children with anxiety, that is one of the most awkward things, you know, because one of the things, like, there's so many awkward things about anxiety, whether it's like excessive sweatiness, racing thoughts, the inability to sleep. There's a lot of that stuff that makes anxiety really, really awkward to have. But I think when it comes to children and crying, in some ways we accept it and we're fine. But if we don't believe that there is a reason for the crying, we think that it's weird. And so I think it's really important to teach children in particular, which is what I love to do as well. I love to talk with kids about it, because I want them to know, one, it's okay to cry. It does not mean that you're weak. That's what somebody else told you, but that's not a fact. You are still strong, you are still smart, it's nothing to be embarrassed about. And to talk with them through that, and then give them these tips. Tell them how they can go about thinking about it. And that it's okay to create distance from those people, from friends who are trying to make fun of them for things like that. And particularly when it comes to boys. Because girls crying, you know, society tends to be like, okay. When they see boys crying due to anxiety, they're like, man up, you know? And it's like, is crying not a manly thing? I don't know that. Like, what the hell? So, you know, it's definitely something that is like, talk with your kids about. So you can take these exact tips and then go ahead and have a conversation with them as well. Okay, she starts high school next year, definitely. Oh, damn, yeah. Oh, I don't miss high school at all. I don't miss being a kid at all. Yeah, That's a hard transition. And it is. It's just such an awkward time, period. Like, even without anxiety. So having anxiety and then going into high school, geez, you know? So definitely continue to support her. And, you know, watching my videos and things like that can be super helpful. I'm not sure if we're friends, Ember, so go ahead and friend me, because I do videos, and so you can kind of take these tips and apply them to yourself, but you could also teach them to her to give her a sense of confidence that it's okay to have anxiety, so she can kind of figure out how to manage this, especially when she's in moments where she's triggered in school, you know? Okay, guys, so this is super long. So I went from like never going live in the Flussel Tribe to now going super long. But I hope that this was super helpful for you guys. I love talking about anxiety. So if you are, which right now I do have an opening, I do have 2 opening spots. So I am looking for 2 women to work with who, if you struggle with anxiety, you have these crying fits, you have a hard time with anxious thinking, you have a hard time with insomnia, you struggle to kind of get clarity on things, or is trusting yourself, you're constantly self-doubting, you're not sure if you're making the right decision. You try to talk to your family and they don't think you have anxiety, they think you're being just dramatic, and you want a way to kind of figure out, like, how do I talk to these people? Go ahead and send me a message, because I do have 2 spots open. And I really want to work with 2 people who are committed. Like, I want you to come to me because you're ready to get started on managing your anxiety. I want the great, I know that they're out there. There's 2 beautiful women out there who are looking for me. I am looking for you, honey. So if that's you, or if you know somebody who would really kind of mesh well with me, or just needs the kind of help, then go ahead and send me a message and shoot them over to me so we could talk and see how it works, okay? And that's all, guys. I'll see you all later. Have a fantastic Thursday. And thanks so much for being live with me. Catch the replay if you missed the first part. Okay, bye.